Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dodgers Port for an unexpected Sunday video. I thought what I'd do today is have a quick dip into the new Pan-American cruisers, particularly this one, the Almirante Barraso. Apologies to anybody listening who knows how bad that pronunciation was. I had a look at this a few days ago and the first thing I thought was, is it not just a Weymouth? It certainly feels like a Weymouth, felt a bit like a slow Weymouth. So what we'll do is we'll jump into a rank battle in a second, and we'll see what we can do with this compared to the Weymouth. You'll remember we recently sank 10 ships in one rank battle with the Weymouth. Let's see if we can sink 10 ships with this, shall we? Foreshadowing. Unlikely. I wanted to have a quick look at what the differences were though, because my first reaction was that Wargaming had basically just renamed the Weymouth and made it look a little bit different, but there are some differences. The Weymouth has got 8 guns compared to the 6 on this. However, the Weymouth has a 9.25 second reload, as opposed to the Almirante, which has got a 7-second reload. So doing some crunching on those numbers, bearing in mind the shells for this ship do 3,000 instead of the 2,800 damage of the Weymouth, it comes out that the DPS on the Weymouth is 2,434 and the DPS on this ship is 2,571. So it does do a little bit more damage per second. It's a lot slower though, 20 knots as opposed to 26, and for me that is the big difference. That 6 knots makes it feel like a real slugger bed in battles. And the other big difference is the armour. Although it looks almost identical, that's the armour for the Citadel on this ship, and if we look at it on the Weymouth, on the surface it looks almost identical, but if you remember, 51mm of armour on the Weymouth and a really poor 38 on this. But again, it's turtleback and it's below the waterline, so still difficult to sink. So the main difference between the two ships is that this one has a little bit more DPS but a lot less speed. Let's jump into a battle and let's see how that plays out. See you there. Here we are then on the island map in the Tier 2 Pan-American cruiser, the Barraso. It's conveniently placed us really close to our cap zone. That helps for 2 reasons. One, I like to start in the cap zone, as you've probably realised by now, fend off the enemy destroyers first, and then go out seeking anyone else that's left to try to win the battle. This ship, however, is so slow, had it put me at the very top of the map, it would have taken me half the battle to get down there. I think you can probably tell even by now how ponderous this ship is. The 6 knots difference between this and the Weymouth makes it feel like a very different play experience. What you can't do is afford to get ridiculously out of position in this ship. It almost plays in that sense like a battleship. It is so slow. So we shall dip into our own cap and we shall wait for the first enemy destroyer to pop its head around a corner so we can start to do our usual defend the cap before going hunting. However, on this occasion the first thing we see is a cruiser. Now I start to see some destroyers. These islands are actually going to get in the way at the moment. They're blocking off everything I'd like to be shooting at. It looks like I'm the only person in the battle who currently isn't shooting at something. That's not a good start, especially if I want to try and emulate my 10 sinkings that we got in the Weymouth. Yeah, okay. However, here I see a destroyer coming around the corner. Oof! Someone just did him a humongous amount of damage. That's really going to leave a mark. However, here we've got a destroyer who hasn't yet been picked on, but now he has. Now I definitely don't want to get too close to the enemy destroyers because the turning circle on this isn't great, and as we've already discussed, the speed is absolutely dire. If I allow these destroyers to get right up close and personal with me, and there are 2 of them, fantastic. There is no way I'm going to be able to dodge torpedoes very well in this ship, so I'd better really focus on getting rid of one of these destroyers. Now I'm turning away from them, specifically to give myself a little more time to see their torpedoes. I'm figuring any second now they must start firing them, so I'll give them a very slim target to aim at. A bit like the Weymouth, one of the advantages of this ship is that it has guns port and starboard, so even when you're turning, you're still keeping about half your guns pointing at the same time. That destroyer's fired elsewhere, but he's getting ridiculously close to me now. So I'm just going to have to keep firing and be aware that there are 2 of the little destroyers, and he's definitely heading towards me, but he's going to run out of health. Now, When you sink a destroyer, don't automatically assume there are no torpedoes in the water from him. He may have got some off just before he died. So I always like to just allow for that when I'm turning just after sinking an enemy destroyer. But 2 enemy destroyers down. I always feel happier in a cruiser once the enemy team has run out of destroyers. There are no battleships in this game, so if we can get rid of the enemy destroyers, we will then just be cruiser on cruiser action. Ooh, nice torpedoing, young man. That's 3 of the enemy destroyers gone. Now I could go hunting for the 4th one, but you know, how do you turn down a target like that? It's just started turning. And I can see just off to my port side is the final enemy destroyer. We're going to have to deal with him shortly. Yep, and don't call me Shorty. Problem here though is that this other cruiser which I was firing at is piling towards me at a rate of knots. Oh, good shot, sir. All of the enemy destroyers are now gone, so we can just focus now on having some nice gunnery battles against some enemy cruisers. Overpenned. Remember, the guns on this ship, there are fewer of them, but they are more powerful. There we go. So that's our 2nd kill. However, we're obviously not going to get 10 because there are only 6 enemy ships left. And it's 6 on 6, and at this point I've kind of forgotten any hope of getting a large kill count. All I want to do is win the battle. How do the guns on this ship feel compared to the Weymouth? Well, the reload time is noticeably faster. The damage they're doing, yeah, I appreciate the shells technically do 200 damage more max, but they feel like they're doing the same amount of damage. It's just there are fewer shells but firing faster. Oops, sorry mate. Okay, the tactic of defending our cap zone seems to be working so far. You can see they tended to rush it. I certainly am not planning on leaving it anytime soon. There are still 2 of their cruisers in our cap circle. Thankfully for us, me and at least a couple of other players decided to stay behind and defend it. Yeah, that was very speculative and a little bit lucky to do that much damage. The angle was really, really poor. That was better. Now, like the Weymouth, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but it also has the heal consumable. So it really is very, very similar to the Weymouth with just a few tweaks. This ship's taking an awful lot of sinking. But we've driven them out of our cap circle now. They seem to be heading back to defend their own cap circle. Oh, our destroyer just rammed him there. I'm not a big fan of people ramming ships unless they're on fumes of health and they can do a lot more damage by ramming. For instance, if you're in a cruiser with a couple of hundred health and you want to ram a battleship, that's always a good tactic. But when you're on full health as a destroyer, keep yourself alive, mate. Your torpedoes can do a lot more damage than ramming can. So we're 2 ships down now. That's a bit surprising. I thought, oh, 1 ship down. I thought we were doing quite well. Looks like now, with the exception of this one battle that's about to go on here. Oh, it's going to be a very short battle if I can keep doing citadels like that. And then overpenned. What I was about to say, before I was so rudely interrupted by that citadel, was it looks like the whole battle is now taking place in their cap circle rather than this one-on-one between us. And there's Mr. Kraken. So what are we at now? 3 ships on 3 ships. But I'm a long way away, and this is the problem now. This ship is so slow. I'm looking at this and thinking, by the time I get into this fight, we may be down to just me. The island's kind of in the way, so all we can do really is just pick off the rare ship that's just about reachable over it. It's really, really bad positioning. Oh look, and he's got full health, and we're down to 2 ships now. Not good, not good at all. So we're just going to have to tootle around this island and just see how quickly we can whittle this guy down. Not very, apparently. You can see our one remaining ship other than me has got very little health left, so it's almost certain that this is going to be 3v1 very shortly. With that in mind, I decide to switch targets to a nicer target and a target with a lot less health, figuring if it's going to be 3v1, let's see if we can get it to 3v2 sooner rather than later, or 3v1, 2v1. There we go. So it is now 2 versus 1. And he's pretty much on full health. Oh, this is going to be a toughie. Ooh, not if we do a couple more citadels, it won't, no? Trying to keep the island here between me and their remaining ship, because if we can keep it as a one-on-one battle, and that's what I'm constantly looking at, just to make sure that the other ship hasn't come round. I don't want catching in a pincer movement. What I want to do is finish this guy off. Nope, still no sign of him. That shot was a little bit high. Where is that other ship? And for reference, the other ship, I believe, is a Chikuma. No, it's a Weymouth. So, I guess it's kind of fitting that in a battle where I was wanting to compare the difference between a Weymouth and this Pan American cruiser, that there would be a big fight between those 2 ships. His angling was not amazing though, and now he decides to run away, but he really has nowhere to run anymore. There you go. So now we're back 1-on-1. So how do we win the battle from here? Well, we could just sail into the cat circle now. Dum-de-dum. We are sailing. If I sit here for 3 minutes, we win the battle. Ah, it's never going to happen, is it? 3 minutes sitting in a cap circle, really not my play style. Especially when I'm on full health, he's on half health, and looking up, I have managed to get 7 sinkings. So it wouldn't be 10, but, you know, 8's 8. I'm thinking at this stage, pretty much won. I've got 3 of my heals left. The reason I've got 3, I started with 4, is I've got points put into the captain to give him an extra consumable. Always worth doing on something that's got a heal. Just have to see if we can get him down before he does anything silly. What we don't want to do is give him any chance at a big citadel here. Just keep it as a normal fight and we're gold. Any second now, looks like he's going to be dead. There we go. What felt in the end like a fairly comfortable victory. How do I compare this ship to the Weymouth? Well, pretty much coming out of the battle as I did going in. It's got a little bit more oomph to the guns, but that's more than offset by its weak armour and its really, really poor top speed that make it not a very pleasant ship to play in my opinion. If you want to play this kind of ship, especially at this tier, stick to the Weymouth. As I said before the battle, I didn't intend to make this video today, but do you know what? The amount of views that my videos have got this weekend has been way higher than I could have ever expected, and I really do want to thank the people who've come on and watched these videos. What I would like to do now is what every other YouTuber in the whole world ever does, which is to say, if you could like and subscribe, that would be really most helpful. If you've got any comments, if you'd like to tell me what ships you'd like to see me play next, drop me a comment and I'll see what I can do for you. More videos coming next week. Until then, bye bye.